Before I take questions, two very, very short things. First of all, I appreciate the folks here for joining our Show Me Heroes program upstairs. We saw their Flag of Freedom Award, which is given to organizations that take that pledge and then follow through with that pledge by hiring veterans. That Flag of Freedom is a unique award. It is a subdued flag worn in combat by one of our veterans in either Afghanistan or Iraq. It's upstairs with pride, and I thank this organization for reaching out and helping us make sure that those folks that serve far as in foreign lands are also able to get jobs and continue their careers when they get home in peacetime. Once again, also jealous of the size of the deer that wins the competition for the largest deer. It's about the size of the one I missed in Clark County. The one that I shot down in Pulaski County would not have finished high here, but did have 8 points. But the one up north, the one I missed, would have been on your list there. I'll leave it to that. With that, I'll be glad to take questions, President. This or any other topics? Yes.
Could you describe a little bit about the incentive package and what's involved in that, whether there's any tax impact locally?
There will be significant tax impact locally by the folks here that are working and paying taxes. Through our state enhanced enterprise zone, the incentives, the total incentive package ultimately would be about $445,000. That's a program that's been effective at getting additional dollars invested in these enterprise zones, areas where we can see solid growth. And it's been a pleasure to work with the local folks to have these targeted economic incentives that can help augment the $15.8 million investment from the private sector, leading to jobs that will be here and to develop products and to deliver those products for years to come. I think it's an effective use of state resources where you have these targeted enterprise zones where you say there are certain areas we're going to focus our attention to get growth, this being one of them. But I appreciate the local economic development officials who targeted this as an opportunity and helped draw this together. Yes, ma'am.
Will most of these new jobs be people being here locally hired, or will it bring people from other communities into this community? What is your thought process on that?
Well, my sense is that the folks here are going to have to be obviously within driving distance of work. So you're going to see an enhancement in the local economy from this. I would assume most of these jobs will be local. I don't specifically do the hiring here, so anything I say that when one of the two people over my shoulder comes in and repairs my remarks here, I'll allow them to do that. My sense is, though, that this will have a solid impact on the local economy here. It already has, with a $15.8 million construction project of as high-tech a food cooking facility, food production facility as there is anywhere in the country, right here in Marshall. The good thing about this is when you get the level of investment by an international player like Cargill, good things happen for a long time. They don't want to, certainly they want to see productivity out of that investment. It's not going to pay for itself in 1 week. And so I think it means jobs for a long time. I think most of those jobs will come from this region, which we're seeing some solid growth in anyway, especially with as dry as it was this summer in this part of the state. Next question. Yes, sir.
What's the time frame for construction?
It's been completed. Started in September. It's up and operating. They've gone through that process. They've gone through their testing. They're up and fully operational. We're here today to acknowledge that investment and to work with them to make sure we're promoting what's a solid investment for our state, a strong long-term partner in Cargill, and an opportunity, we think, for our future opportunities in this region. Anybody else on any other topics? You got me? Yes, ma'am.
You know, I read at the bottom, obviously, yes, in Missouri, the unemployment rate has gone down, and that's a wonderful thing, but what are your thoughts about just nationwide about what is going on? Yes, in these small communities, we are seeing economic growth. People are bringing jobs in. And you're right. In Missouri, I've seen this a lot. I was in St. Joseph before this, which is very economically depressed. And I'll just say, what about the rest of the world?
Well, I do think that we're not to the finish line yet. 6.7% unemployment is not where we want to get, where we want to keep, but the trend lines are headed in the right direction. And those trend lines are based on three things we're going to continue to work in a bipartisan way with other policy leaders across the state to focus on. One, making sure Missouri is a good place to invest. I mean, large organizations don't invest $16 million unless they're going to get a good solid return on it. So making sure we're a place that keeps fiscal discipline in order is just a good place for that. Number two is not forgetting our workforce. Even though we had difficult budget times, during those budget times, we expanded by over 50% the dollars that we use for customized training, for example. We believe that the winners of the future are going to be a strong, trained, competitive workforce, and we're not going to forget the workers as we move through this process. Getting the investments is important, getting those workers, and that's is also important. And then number three, I think staying thematically. When we did took a year and did a long-term economic plan, 5 years for the state of Missouri, we found during that process that there are sweet spots for us. And the agriculture, animal health, and logistics all fit right down central for us. We're located in the center of the country. You have products that are byproducts off of the ethanol plant at Malta Bend that can be used as part of the process here. You have a ready supply of meat in this part of our country, and you have a cutting-edge employer that's working directly with its businesses. I think all of those are signals that other states and and folks in the United States should focus on. And I think that the thing I said first is my golly, we need to work together. I mean, I'm sitting here in a day in which we're hopeful that very quickly we're going to be able to announce not only unemployment rate going down, but putting together revenue estimates for next year, so that when the legislature comes back, we'll be able to work together on that, so that our budgeting process, we all agree how much is coming in, and we work in that system to divide it accordingly. While at the same time in Washington, folks are standing on the edge of a cliff, and it would appear spending a great deal of their time talking about how they disagree. So I just think it's really, really important for folks to work together. The public has a short bit of tolerance for folks that think that they should get into elective office and figure out how to use that to conspire against somebody that just because the other person rode either a donkey or an elephant to work. Okay, I mean, we've got to get people working together, and I think that is one of the keys economically for this region, for this state, for this country. It's one of the reasons I think Missouri has performed well than many other states and had that significant drop in unemployment rate. Yes, ma'am.
There was a lot of talk during the election about creating that healthy economic environment here in Missouri. Now we're about to see some health care laws take effect. How is that going to affect the economy here in Missouri?
Well, I spent a pretty significant time looking at that, especially after the election, because I think it was important to get it out of the political realm. I mean, in the political realm, the healthcare opportunities out there were basically one word. You're either for it or you're against it. And something as complicated as healthcare, that's clearly not. And then you couple that with the fact that the measure was passed by Congress, the measure was signed by the president, the measure was upheld by the United States Supreme Court, and as the election happened, which means it's going to be implemented, and we switch into a mode here of what do we do based on that. Not whether we were for it or against it before, not whether we liked it, but what do we do in the position we're in. And governor is a very practical job. I mean, I may have some theories about things, but my day job is not espousing theories. My day job is getting stuff done. And right now, I have said, and I'll continue to talk with folks across the state, I believe that we missed the deadline on the exchange. That was because of the time frames, but we can still be in a situation to have a partnership exchange eventually. I hate to turn that power over to Washington, D.C. But as far as the Medicaid expansion, I've been meeting with folks across the state. I support us moving forward. If we don't move forward, we'll be moving backwards. I've said a couple of times that I think the Medicaid expansion is both the smart and the right thing to do. I think it's a smart thing to do because we pay taxes here in Missouri. If we walk away from this program, $1.8 billion a year of money that everybody in this room pays each week in their taxes is going to go to Washington, and then it will be sent to other states for health care, while we here have more uncompensated care and pressure on our rates to move up. So I think we do everything we can to get those dollars that you and I pay in taxes to go to Washington, have them spent right here in the healthcare system. I think it's a smart thing to do. I think that's especially important, not to be overly complicated or wonkish about this, but we have a system that allows us to get additional dollars through our disproportionate share. That system's going to go away. So if we do nothing on the Medicaid piece, $250 million will go away. And plus we turn down $1.8 billion. So you're talking about $2 billion a year in the economy of the state. I mean, a recent study done shows that in the first year alone, very conservative estimates would add 24,000 jobs. So smart thing to do, right thing to do. I mean, right now under our laws, a woman who's working and has a kid and is getting ready to have another kid with their family, if she's not working, then she qualifies for health care. Now, the kid gets covered up to 300% of federal poverty level. But once that child's born, if she goes back to work, she loses that health care. That doesn't make any sense at all. We value work in this state, especially for mothers and fathers and young families. And if we can assist that by taking these federal dollars and using them to provide health care in that time in which folks are getting back up to speed, that's just the right thing to do. Plus, if we have the preventative care in place for folks, it really gets much better outcomes. So I think it's both the smart and the right thing to do. I'm hopeful that we can migrate ourselves out of political speak and get into both economic as well as rightful reasons to do that. I'm going to cure everybody for asking a question. I could like 10-minute answers to every question. Sorry. It's complicated. It's $2 billion. It's not, and I'm trying to have a conversation with Missourians that we need to look at this and we need to do what's get a best fit for our state. And I think that the best fit is to take these dollars that you and I are paying in taxes that they've offered to give back to our states and use them as smart and effectively as we can to get a healthier Missouri. Yeah, anybody? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, gun control, it being on so many people's minds these days. Do you see Missouri doing anything to change its laws before the federal government would?
Well, I think all of us are shocked and saddened by what happened in Connecticut. A killer with assault rifles wanted through kindergarten and first grade classes, brutally murdering defenseless kids. Properly is causing a national discussion, not just in Missouri, but a national discussion about how we can make our schools safer. And I look forward to being part of that discussion. I think there are 2 or 3 things that we should look at very carefully and quickly. I said yesterday, the lethality of these weapons needs to be looked at. We're not, when you're talking about a Bushmaster 225, you're talking about a very, it's not what I was shooting at that deer that I missed in Clark County with this year, let's put it that way. Single shot 30-06 is a little different situation. And I think the lethality of those and looking at those is important. As First Lady and I talked this morning, as somebody who are avid hunters and sportsmen, we both own weapons, we both shoot those weapons. I've been in that my entire life. So I think that the lethality of those weapons. 2 other things. I think that we need to not forget the mental health part of this. When you look back at the pattern of these types of horrendous occurrences, you trace them back to some pretty troubled folks, many of which who have had direct interaction in some fashion with our mental health system. It's one of the reasons why, 3 years ago we started our Partnership for Hope, which is a program that deals with young folks after the age of 18 to make sure that they have care and treatment after the high school ages are over so that they don't become isolated and dangerous the way that this killer became. I say that because that's a long, hard discussion, but we look forward to it in the coming months. Have a discussion about that, about how we can readily acknowledge the challenges. But we've added 2,500 people to the service list there. We've got about 700 left on a waiting list, and we're going to try to work our way through that to move the state forward. So you look at the lethality of weapons and what should be out there. You look at the mental health piece, and then you got to look at schools. I think our schools need to be a safe haven. I'll be talking later this week and next week about some thoughts and ideas that I have there. I do not think that I don't think requiring teachers to be armed is a policy that we should move forward on in this state. So I will be talking to our public safety folks and looking at what we can do to. But the bottom line is, when kids go to school, they need to be safe. And, you know, we've seen an occurrence which should spur a serious and thoughtful discussion about how we can work together in a common sense way to lessen whatever risks are out there. Thank you all for coming, and we look forward to eating the stuff that's made here.